Hola, ¿qué tal? Soy Janina Pérez Arias, estamos en el set de Kinótico en la Seminci y hoy tengo aquí a Leonor Noivo, que es la directora de Bulakna. Es una película que está en la sección Alquimias de la Seminci y vamos aunque Leonor es portuguesa, pues y yo soy hispanohablante, pues nos vamos a entender, es en inglés. Hi, Leonor, how are you?
Hello, I'm fine.
Leonor, tell me about the connection that you have with Philippines, because Portugal and Philippines is not that so like, okay.
Yeah, okay. So I grew up in Asia when I was a little girl. I went there when I was 7, and I grew my childhood and teenager there. And I was noticing that there were many Filipino women going alone to Macau, where I lived. And they went alone by boat, thousands of them. And it was a reality really shocking for me, as I was growing up and seeing so much women alone. They spent years abroad, and they were really far away from their families. Then I come back to Europe when I was 16, and then years passed, and like 10 years ago I started to see also Filipino women on Sundays in Lisbon, where I live. And I was trying to understand how this immigration now was a global thing, and how they could manage to travel so far away. And I started to meet them at Sundays. They went to church and I was there, and I was starting to understand what was the new immigration. And it was like something very huge that the Filipino state also, como dizer, incentivate, and they have many schools for women to learn how to serve to other bosses, foreign bosses, and that's why I started to be interested in these women that are private. They are far away from their families, and they have their intimacy blocked. They don't have relations. They don't have a place to live as their own. They are for the others, and they don't have private life for decades. And yes, and then in the film we had other characters, but in the end we choose Norma, who is 60 years old, and she's abroad for 30 years, and it's like representing all these women and the years that pass, and in the end she's alone. And that's why we
Yeah, it's very interesting, your film, because you show us that kind of intimacy. You know, it's not that is, you get very deep in the relations, to show us the person behind a name or behind something that we can only identify as Filipino woman, no? Yeah. In particular, the women from Philippines are the person who are in that situation to get out of the country, no? Which is a very interesting topic, a very important topic. How was that connection, not from the point of view of a director, but from the point of view of a woman, woman to woman?
Yeah, as I was saying, there were other characters, younger characters, like 30-year-old woman that I was shooting in Lisbon. And really they starting to talk about that situation of don't having a private life. And it's a topic not so much for the 50 or 60-year-old woman who has they didn't question it, and now they're very alone and upset for the decision. But the youngest are questioning it, and they were talking about their body and their incapacity of having their own life. And some of them are starting not to be inside the houses of their bosses, because typically they are stay in and they just go out at Sunday. Now this new generation is starting to live in other place at night. They are together, the Filipinos, and they work during the day. Still, it's many hours and caring of the children and the older people, and they are very submissive. But they are questioning, and they start to have their own lives, at least something of their own lives, although they are not in their country, but they are starting to question it. And in the Philippines, we were shooting there. We went with Norma for her visit to the family, and to know better the other side of not being as a director and so on, to understand the Filipino side, we were with a theater group that all of them are children, or are their mothers went abroad or are still abroad, and all of them, there was 15 in the theater group, and they were very activist on trying to make the government beware of this situation. But they are a small group, and there are not so many people questioning. But somehow at this point, this new generation is starting to put this in the table. Yeah.
It is incredible, no? That there is a government. It is. It doesn't matter if this the current government is like the last government, and the other government. They are doing like in Philippines, like to put their people to get out. It's like it's very violent. That kind of a new colonization. It's like a colonization that the own people, the own government, and doing against the people, no?
But also there's this world that is applying to that. It's not just the Filipinos. So there is many people in the world that has this thing where I can get my housemaid, and also I think it's that problem also, not just because the Philippines is a poor country and it has a lot of people, and it's the two sides. So it's like a reflection of the world. How are we doing the things? How the capitalism and the globalization is perpetuating this kind of difference between social classes.
Leonor, I was wondering about your decision to do like a very atypical film. It's a very beautiful film, but as well, it's like a mix between fiction and not fiction. Tell me something about that kind of decision.
It was not a decision, it's my way of expressing. As I studied fiction and documentary, different schools, I always mix the two things. For me, just doing observation, it's of course incredible, but I just need the fiction to emphasize some parts. As you were saying, the deep of Norma when she's speaking, although she made that words and she was we had this decision to put voiceover, and she was putting her voice over, and all the situations in the theater group also, it's something that they wanted to do, so it was not documentary because they were representing something and they were in a situation of fiction, and they really wanted to kill again Magellan. So it was like a natural, organic thing that was happening. Yes, it started like a documentary, then it went to other fields.
This is your first feature film.
Yeah.
How was for you to finally find the topic that you wanted to talk about? And of course, we have to say other people that are listening or showing us that you have a lot of work behind you, but.
I don't. I know it's the first feature, but I shoot the others with the same entrega. It's like I don't feel, oh, this is short. It's this theme needed more time to express, but I don't divide like that. Also, I work in other functions in other films, as script supervisor, as assistant director, as camera. So I've worked in other feature films, so sometimes I see it like that. It's like I work in cinema and I do different things. I'm a producer also of, for example, one film that's shown today here. So it's bigger than just, oh, you have the first feature. Yes, in concrete, yes, but I feel it's my way. It's the way I'm going.
This is a wonderful bridge to talk about Terratreme Films, which is a very, very singular thing, no? Because it is a collective, and you are one of the co-founders. Tell me something about that. How has been working with that collective and to exchange the creations?
Yeah, we started in 2008, so it's 17 years. So we were younger, and we were different directors and cineastas, and we were working together in, like I was saying, in it's okay, in films of each other's. And as we had cameras and we had microphones, it was like an association from the beginning. Then it started to grow. Really very other people come to film with us. We were helping others, and suddenly it's an empresa. It's like a big thing that is bigger than we thought. It was so fast to grow. And how it is, sometimes it's very difficult, because sometimes in the meetings we're many heads thinking, but I think that it's a good thing to have more than to have less thinking about the things.
Leonor, you are one of many Portuguese directors that are here in the Seminci. In fact, Joao Rosas and Pedro Pino are as well part of that collective. Tell me something about that energy of the new Portuguese cinema. Do you think that there is something that we have to watch? That is something that you have to say and to show us?
As we are inside, we can't see that. We can't see from outside that energy. We're just inside, so I can't. It's like it's like we work. We don't know other. Maybe someone from outside can tell better. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, when you are inside, it's very difficult.
It's difficult to say how it is.
Yeah. But a very good example is Bulakna, your film, a wonderful film. Bulakna está en Alquimias. Leonor, muchísimas gracias.
Gracias.
Obrigada.
Obrigada.
Y bueno, aquí seguimos en Kinótico, en la Seminci. Por favor, vayan a ver Bulakna, el primer largometraje de Leonor Noivo, una gran cineasta de Portugal. Y aquí seguimos en Kinótico, la primera con K y la segunda con C. Gracias.